Hi, right, today's reading is going to be about our spiritual path and how we're doing journeying along that path and whether we're on path or not. So the question is, am I on path? And how can I get more onto it if I'm not? And I think that's always an important thing, really, because if we're off path, we become miserable and anxious and depressed. And we start to feel bored and restless and lethargic. And when we're on path, we feel filled with energy and enthusiasm and happiness and joy, and we want to kind of like bounce around and open our arms and share it with everybody. And right now, there are so many people working on realigning their lives and getting more on path that I thought it would be really useful to do a reading on that. So I'm back to the Rider-Waite deck again, which is the deck I'm using. It is the Radiant Rider-Waite, which is a really nice version of the Rider-Waite because it's really bright and colourful. So the colours are really punchy. The original Rider-Waite is more muted and not quite so cheerful, and I like cheerful decks. Yeah, so I will shuffle the cards and ask the question, and we'll see what comes up. So that was the first card that came out. And that was the second card that came out. Okay, so the first card that came out is quite a beautiful card actually for this. Is the Fool. Am I on path? And the answer is the Fool. Wow, the Fool is on a journey. That is his mission, that is his purpose. He is, in this picture we have like a nice young man who is, he's dressed quite smartly, so he's kind of like put on his best clothes for this journey. He is journeying with his little dog, who is there with him by his side, little white dog, who is like his higher self as well, his best friend, but also a kind of like a higher energy, a higher consciousness. And he's got his worldly belongings, or those that he deems necessary, are in this little bag on the back of his staff. And he's kind of walking along, and he's lost in thought, and he's imagining and thinking about where he wants to be and what he wants out of life. And he's got this beautiful romanticized notion of where he's going and what he will achieve once he gets there, what he will find, and the things that he will discover and learn upon the way. But the important thing about this card is to point out that he's about to walk off the edge of a cliff, and this could be dangerous because he could fall down a long, long way and hurt himself. So he's looking up so much because he's so cheerful and so positive and so happy. He's not really paying attention to what's going on down below in the world. Yeah, so he's a bit ungrounded. So he's on this like wonderful adventure, but he's not taking care at the same time. And so this card is basically saying, it's like, are you on path? And the answer is yes, you are. You are definitely on path. Yeah, you are. Even if you're not manifesting whatever is your heart's desire or your dream or your goal, even if that is not manifesting in your life right now, you are on path. You are journeying towards it. The danger is, though, that you are looking so deeply into this imagined space, this dream space, this space of like what you want to achieve, that you are missing what is going on the ground around you. And I guess right now, if you're listening to this right now at the time that I am recording it, right now that's pretty important. It's like, as much as we want to escape from the reality of what is happening in the world right now, what's going on around us, the kind of like fear and anxiety and worry associated to that. And there's so much unknown, so much we can't control all of a sudden. You know, our lives, our freedoms are not our own right now. Our future cannot be predicted. Like, obviously our future can never be like exactly predicted. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We can plan and we can prepare and we can hope for the best. But these things also change on a daily basis, or moment by moment even, depending on the decisions that we make. And so it's really easy to step off track, off course. So for example, if we get a reading about something happening in the future, if we then change our behavior because we know that the answer that reading offered us was either something we wanted or something we didn't want, then we can affect the outcome. So if we get a happy outcome that we want to achieve, then we can work harder towards achieving it and maybe achieve it faster. And then if we get one we don't want to achieve, we can work to avoid it and, you know, bypass it entirely, and we can then change the outcome. And I think at the moment there's a lot we can't control because what's going on is happening on a collective level, but we can exert influence over our own hopes and desires and what we would like to build in future terms, to a large degree. And so this card is basically saying, yes, you are on path, and that's great, and keep doing it, keep going, keep putting your best foot forwards, but don't forget to look to the ground at this beautiful little friend here, who is your ally, your best friend, your guide, who is your higher self, and what he or she is trying to say. And what he or she is trying to say is, hey, watch out, look at the ground beneath your feet so you don't fall over, so you don't slip up. Because it's all very well and good, like marching towards this happily ever after outcome, but if you fall over and break your foot along the way, it's going to take you a whole lot longer to get there. It doesn't mean you won't get there, it just means it'll take you a lot longer to get there, and you're going to have to encounter more heartache. So that's that card, and I hope you had a good chance to look at that as I've been waving it around, sorry. But do know that this character is happy and blessed, and you know, he's walking through beautiful scenery and the sun is shining brightly and there's like lovely snow-capped mountains in the background. So all will be well, so long as he concentrates on looking at the floor a bit more and being a bit more grounded. And then the second card is the Seven of Pentacles, and that's, how can I get more onto it if I'm not? And this card's basically saying, okay, well maybe you need to stop and take a pause and look at what you were growing. In this card there is a man, and he's tending to these vines, these grapevines, so he's trying to create wine. And he's trying to turn the soil into gold, into wealth, into something that he can then take and use. And sorry, my stomach is rumbling a lot today. I just drank some peppermint oil in a juice, and I think it's the peppermint oil working on my digestive system. So please do excuse me. This man is like, he's been hard at work for ages, and he's got this far with his vines, and he's pretty happy with the work that he's done, and that's great. But this card is calling upon him. And 7 is a magic number. 7 is like a heaven sent number. It's like it's a very powerful number, and pentacles are all about wealth and like assets and material things that we have. And the card is like calling on this man to look at the wealth and the material assets that he has, and to kind of like assess what he wants and what he doesn't want, what he needs to keep and what he can cut back on. It's like, is this man is this man planting or pruning is the question, and that's what you need to look at and question for yourselves. Are you planting or are you pruning, and which one do you need to be doing? Do you need to be working as hard as you were previously? Do you need to be, if you're doing like really long days and you're working 6-7 days a week and you never have time for a holiday, do you need to be working that hard, or can you afford to like prune back, one or two of these gold coins in order to have a better quality of life? Do you need to be a bit more like the Fool? That's a good question to ask yourself. Or if you don't have many gold coins, if you don't have many assets, if you don't have many material things, and you feel like that's a lack in your life and that you need more stability and security, and this situation right now will have really rocked that boat quite massively for a lot, if not most people, because their ability to, unless you've been able to work from home and there's been no change in that sense, and so there's been no cut to your salary, unless you've had that, then you might be feeling a tightness right now financially, and that could be worrying. And so this card is kind of saying stop. Don't just like kind of march merrily ahead into creating this new future that you would like to create, and this new dream that you would like to birth into reality. Don't just march ahead like the Fool. If you are feeling this tightness, maybe you have to be more practical and more grounded for a while, and then once you've got a bit more stability, then you can adopt the Fool again, and be a bit more airy, and use your imagination more in terms of what you would like to achieve and manifest. So I think it's about a balance, and I think depending on where you are right now with this card, then you either need more or less of this card. So if you're working too hard and your life up to now has been all about money, and no time for self-love, and no time for fun and enjoyment and friends and family and adventure and travel, then I think you need to embrace more of the spirit of the Fool into your life, and see where that can take you. And try and create your own adventures right now, in really imaginative, out of the box ways, because we have to think differently about how we can achieve things at the current moment if you're watching this at the current moment. But if you don't have enough work structure or financial security in your life, then perhaps you need to be planting instead of pruning, and therefore maybe a little bit less of the Fool would be useful. So yeah, I hope that was helpful to you, that reading. Do check out the rest of my videos. I have many readings now, and I'm adding to them all the time. Check out my website as well, lemonrosepetals.com, and on Instagram I'm lemonrosepetals as well. So check me out. Look at the other stuff that I do and all of my other videos, and if you'd like to get in contact with me, please do. And I will see you next time.